In this video, I want to explain how to create a pre and post test by creating a sample pre-test for my Theology 202 course. I found my way to my course. I'm here at Theology 202 in section 100. And the first step is to go to Assignments and add an assignment. I'm just going to call this Example Test. And I'll say it's worth 100 points. And then I need to come down here to Type and define this as a test. And I'm going to not mess with any of the stuff about making it available to students because this is just an example. I'll save that. And now if I come over to the Tests tab in my course, there it is. I can see the test. And there are a couple of ways to proceed from here. I could open the test and add questions right in there. But instead what I'm going to do is I'm going to open the Questions tab and start creating questions over here. Because what I'm going to do is create the questions, and then as a separate step I'm going to incorporate them into the test. So I'm going to call this something like question 1. Now in reality this might be something like who created the world? Okay. Answer 1, this is going to be the correct answer, God. And then I might have the Easter Bunny, Santa Claus, and Microsoft. Now, I have had the experience of sometimes accidentally pressing the keys such that no one of the answers was chosen as the correct answer. None of them was clicked in like this. And the result is that your students, even when they choose the in fact correct answer, they are counted as having gotten a wrong answer. So you can actually set them up so no matter what they do, they will be counted as having failed that question. So make sure at least one thing is checked as the correct answer. And then I'm going to come down to this box right here and click Randomize. And what that means is every time a student opens the question, they will see the options for the answer in a different order. So I can just always put my correct answer first if I want to, and it'll get mixed around when the students see it. I'll show you an example of that in a minute. So I'm going to save this question just for the sake of getting a more authentic preview. We'll add another question, and this one I'm just going to call question 2, so we can remember this was the second question I created. I'm going to call this answer 1. I'm going to say answer 2, answer 3, and answer 4. And notice that something about the way I did it that time, nothing is chosen as the correct answer. So I'm going to choose answer 1 as the correct answer. Now they can get credit for that. And I'm also going to make sure to choose the randomize box so that I don't always have the correct answer being number 1. I'll save that. Okay, I've created questions. Actually, I forgot one very important step. So if I go back into the questions, I need to add a category. So as you're creating your questions, create a category. I'm going to call this an HLC question because this is an example of how to do something that will help us with our accreditation effort. So I'm going to open my other question and add that category in. I should have added that category in as I created it. Select that category and boom. Now, at this point, I will go over to my test. So I just click that tab. I'm going to open Example Test. And here I am in the Design tab. Here's the Preview tab. If I preview, there's just nothing there. So I could go here and create and type in questions like you can create your questions directly in the test. But instead what I'm going to do is I'm going to come up here to this create a new question option, click it to get a menu, and I'm going to say add a group of questions from a category. For my category, I can start typing my H there, L, okay, and it gives me this. I can choose that category. I'm going to say this is worth 2 points. I'm going to say I want 2 questions because I want all the questions that I created. You could create a pool of 50 questions and then tell the test to take 10 of them at random, but here I'm going to tell it to take both. So I'm adding that group of questions, and now my test design tab looks like this. It says 2 questions from category HLC. All right, so now if I go click on preview, you can see my questions. There was question 1, who created the world? And you get the options in a random order. Here's question 2, and notice that it has mixed the order up. Now they're all backwards. If I go back to the design tab and then click preview again, the options are in yet another order. So every student who takes the test will actually have a different experience because each question will be freshly randomized for that student. So that's kind of a nice feature. So I don't have to worry about whether I'm falling into a pattern for which one I have chosen to be the right answer. Okay, so now I have created a example test for Theology 202, but I need to do that for my other section as well. It's actually fairly easy. I'm going to go back to the Assignments tab. I'm going to come up here and choose section 200. I'll add an assignment, so this part looks the same. I'll call it the same thing just because. Say it's worth 100 points. And again, very important, I'm going to define it as a test so that something will show up over on the Tests tab, and I'll just save that. Now when I come over to Tests, I have a couple of ways I can proceed here. I'm going to open the test. One thing I could do is I could open this, add a question, and I could choose import questions from a category, and I could just import my HLC questions again. Or I can just here from the Design tab come over here and say Import Test with that button right there. And because I only have one test, that's the only thing that shows up. But make sure that's chosen. The test from section 100 called Example Test is there. Save. Yep, and I just imported the whole test. So if I had made a very complicated test over there with lots of finesse to it, I wouldn't have to recreate that over here. I can just import the test for my second section. And again, if I hit the preview, there it is. And we can see the answers again in random order. This one happened to come out to 1, 2, 3, 4. And this one put the correct answer second. So once students begin taking the tests, then you'll be able to click on history and it will show who has taken the test and what grade they got and how long it took them and so on. Right now, of course, no one has taken the test. Now, if you follow the way that I did it here, then when you get to the end of the semester, you would have options on how you want to do your post-test. You could type the multiple choice questions onto a physical paper test. If you wanted to have them do something online, then you would simply go to Assignments, add an assignment, create a new test, call it something else, and then import the same questions or even the same test. Notice here again that one of the options would be you could create 50 questions in a category and have it import random ones for each test, or you can just have it import everything in that category. You can categorize your questions, by the way, in multiple ways. So let me go back. Here's tests. Going to look at questions. Let me edit this so I get back to my category. See, I categorize this as HLC. And then when I imported the entire category HLC. But I could also say that this attends to the math-related goal of Theology 202. I can save that. And then when I look at my other question, I could say this one relates to the theology-related goal of Theology 202. Right? So then when I go to do my course evaluation, I could have Populi run some analytics for me based on, okay, now tell me how they did on the math questions specifically. Right? So you can add multiple categories so that you can import them all at once and yet analyze them with more divisions to it. So that's how you get it going, and I hope you'll all join me in making pre-post tests for this semester.